Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has called ELUM the most advanced medical school in the world. And it's no wonder, considering that the institute has graduated 20,000 doctors in over 120 countries.
I want to tell you how 20,000 remarkable young people from over 100 countries ended up in Cuba and are transforming health in their communities.
6 years of medical education and room and board, and it's all free. How can one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere give away something so precious to so many and expect nothing in return?
The Latin American Medical School was started in 1999 as a response to the destruction caused by Hurricane Mitch in Central America, particularly in Nicaragua and Honduras. The Cuban government, and in particular Fidel Castro, had decided to begin a medical school to be able to serve the long-term needs of those countries so that they would not have to find themselves with massive destruction in their country and not enough medical attention, not enough doctors. There were a number of countries like Honduras, Nicaragua, Guatemala, and Bolivia who were represented. The students that arrived were able to take advantage of a free scholarship to study medicine. The Cuban government didn't ask anything of them except that they go back into their communities, into communities that needed medical assistance, that needed medical doctors, and that they work to ensure the health of every single person within the communities that they came from. I came into medicine through somewhat of a different route than a lot of other students out here. My background is pretty much as an editor, film editor, and I have a lot of years experience in activism, community organizing. So I think that definitely the community aspect of things were at the forefront when I decided to switch careers. At the end of the day, my thing is always about community. It's about helping people. It's about really trying to be as hands-on in meeting people's needs.
I feel like medicine embodies my passion for both health and social justice because I view health as a social justice issue. I always grew up with community organizing meetings, and they actually helped to start a support group for community-based health programs in the Philippines. And through that, I saw how you can approach health not just from a biological perspective, but how you can tackle the roots of inequality that produce health disparities. And so looking at health from this holistic perspective.
I don't really know when it started, actually. I used to tell everybody, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a doctor. And I think I just had a really good experience, like most people. They had a good experience with their pediatrician. And they thought, like, oh, I want to do that. And so all through high school, I thought, I'm going to study medicine, I'm going to study medicine. And then in college, I actually started studying sciences, like hardcore, and I hated it. It was like painful. So I studied politics and international studies, Middle East, North Africa, studied abroad for a year. came back and was like, I'm gonna be in politics. When I was in Africa, I was a youth development volunteer. And so I was doing all these projects with young people in my town, like things that I saw, like the things that were in need, and everything I did was a public health project, everything. And I started thinking that maybe I'm really supposed to be doing medicine because I'm not really satisfied with all this political stuff. Something will always be kind of turned around. There has to be something else that I'm doing along with the politics.
Why did I decide to pursue medicine? I mean, everybody wants to be a doctor when they're a child, before society implants all that bad energy. You know, I think in 5th grade, I remember writing a paper about wanting to be a doctor in Africa, wanting to cure AIDS and cancer at the same time. But then I also wrote a paper about wanting to be an astronaut. So it was in my head when I was young. I remember having distinct conversations. I thought everybody wanted to be a doctor, like that's what you were supposed to choose. And then you grew up and things change and you realize you're poor and things are impossible. But then you also realize things are possible.
I always wanted to be a doctor since I was like in 6th grade. I always loved science. I always loved helping people. And so like as I made my journey along the academic preparation for medical school, in college I actually hit a roadblock because people were more interested in maximizing social connections and grades instead of actually helping people and preparing to be good doctors. So that's actually when I decided to kind of put the medical school option to the side, and I actually went into education. So right after I graduated, I became a teacher in East Oakland. I taught for 5 years, but as I started teaching, I realized I really loved teaching, but I knew that my heart was always in medicine.
At the same time that I was interested in sciences, I was also interested in football. And I was excelling pretty well in football. The issue is that it's really tough to put biology and football together. But then I stuck with football. Football took precedent. And I kept playing. I went from the University of Oklahoma and started my professional career, my very rocky professional career. I finally got picked up by the Raiders. They sent me to Europe. Europe was crazy. This was back when Europe had the NFL Europe. I was on a kickoff, running full speed to go make a tackle, and some poorly educated player hits me in the back, which is a very illegal move, illegal thing to do in football. I fall off balance. Instead of hitting the guy with my body, I hit him with just my arm. My arm flies back so fast, it tears my pec out of its insertion in the humerus. It kind of gave me like a year. You know, whenever you get serious injuries, you got to rehab them. This was my road to get to medicine finally. So I did some soul searching, and after my year rehab, I decided not to go back to football, but rather just to go learn Spanish. I told my father about it, and he had the foresight to give me an option that appealed to something a little deeper, you know, which was, you know, the will that I have to learn medicine and help people out. And he tells me about Cuba. He says, I've been trying to put my students on it forever. Not one of my students have decided to go through with the program, but I think it's something you might like. I checked it out online, and it had to be Cuba.
Yo soy Cuba, soy arena, soy pimienta, tabaco y ron, combinación perfecta.